All right, the time is 6 p.m. I will call to order the September 10th meeting of the Huxley City Council. Roll call, please.
Mulder.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Rigler.
Here.
Etcher.
Here.
Roberts. Here.
Thank you very much. Need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll give you a motion. Mulder.
Motion by Mr. Mulder and a second by Mr. Rigler. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now is the time in the agenda for public comment. Anybody in the public wishing to speak tonight on any agenda items? All right, thank you very much. Moving on, need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Give you a motion.
Motion by Ms. Roberts,
Second. Mulder.
second by Mr. Mulder. Any questions or discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mulder.
Yes.
Rigler.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Roberts. Yes. Etcher.
Yes.
All right, item 5A tonight is approving resolution 24-066 related to pay incentive for pool operators. Need a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Rigler and a second by Ms. Roberts. Any questions or discussion?
I would just note, this was discussed at the work session last time, and I think, I had proposed a little higher amount, but we ended up settling on the $600 amount. So that's what you have in the resolution this evening. I think anytime they get the certification, I think they get that, and it's that amount's divided among 26 paychecks. So it's just.
So the way I read it was, according to your policy, was from the date they get the certification.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, they got that certification, I believe it was back a month and a half ago. So I had told the one individual that it be retroed back because they'll just take that divided by 26 paychecks, and that's what will be added to it. So.
Thank you very much. Got a motion and a second. Need a roll call, please.
Murphy.
Yes.
Etcher.
Yes.
Roberts. Yes. Rigler.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Okay, item.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha, Greg. Item 5B on the agenda tonight is resolution 24067, authorizing the city clerk to certify cost to the treasurer. Need a motion on that?
Motion.
Motion by Rory.
Second. Mulder.
Second by Mr. Mulder. Any discussion or questions?
This is just a one-time blanket. It's kind of dotting our i's and crossing our t's. This will give me the authority that if those nuisance bills go unpaid, we can just take them right over and assess them to the property.
All right, roll call, please.
Roberts. Yes. Murphy.
Yes.
Etcher.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Rigler.
Yes. All right, moving on. Item 5C on the agenda tonight is ordinance number 538, amending the Huxley Code of Ordinances regarding fireworks. Any motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Etcher. Second by Mr. Rigler. Any questions on this?
I would just note that based on the discussion at the work session last meeting, the ordinance reflects going to fireworks to be allowed to be shot off for 3 days. That would be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of July rather than the 7-day period. This is your first reading. You can take it over the course of the next several meetings. If you don't think it's a big deal, you can waive the 2nd and 3rd this evening, but that's entirely your decision.
Ma'am, did you wish to say anything on this item? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, well, I understand this thing. I've been struggling with this since last meeting at the fact. I understand the concerns we have, but the fact that we're gonna change an ordinance based on one person. You know, we haven't had a large intake of people that's been concerned with this. And even in our discussion, nobody came to the discussion saying that they had a lot of people that were concerned with this issue and we're gonna.
I don't think it was
change it.
one person. I think we had a petition brought forth to us with signatures on it. Where did I? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Certainly, tonight there's only one individual before us that's asked us to consider this. However, as elected officials and the voice of our community, I think it's the obligation of each elected official to speak to the neighbors, speak to the community members. Hopefully, everybody's taken that opportunity and gotten that feedback, and that's the way they'll proceed. So.
The only other comment I'd add is it aligns us better with our surrounding communities as well.
And I would say if you have concerns, stretch it out over another meeting, bring the second reading to the next one and then possibly waive the third or go 3 meetings. That's your choice.
I know what choices I have.
I'm all in favor of just waiving it, getting it all done tonight.
All right, well, this is just the first reading that we're voting on at this time. I've got a motion and a second, so I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Rigler,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Murphy,
No,
Etcher.
Yes.
Okay, the first reading carries. We can consider a motion to suspend the rules. It will take a 4/5 vote to do so. There's been some conversation about carrying this out over a few weeks to get some additional input.
I'll
What's your
make a
pleasure?
motion that we waive the second and third reading and do it tonight.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules and waive the second and third. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Hearing none, we've passed the first reading. The second reading will be in 2 weeks. Thank you, Rory. Department reports. Anybody? Heather, please.
So we were asked last week to kind of give you an update of where we are in the splash pad. So both me and David reached out to Forrest and he has provided us with a timeline of where we are at. So that is what you are looking at right now. So we are technically fully funded and we will move forward with the plans. And if you have any questions about that, then let us know.
The goal is to have an operational splash pad by the 4th of July weekend.
And I would just note that with Heather's funding, we actually took a big portion of that. We put it into a CD that will mature in February. So it's perfect timing for when this project kicks off. We're going to earn a little extra interest for this project.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much for the update. Anything else for us while you're up? Thank you very much. Any other department reports this evening?
yeah, I just thought.
Any other department reports? So in 1 month, is that substantial completion, or have we already passed that milestone, or?
I would say we're.
In 1 month, is that substantial completion, or have we already passed that milestone? Great, thanks for the update. Amy? Barb?
Just continuing to work with the auditor towards the fiscal year 24 audit and tightening up getting the TIF numbers tightened up and accurate.
David?
I would just note, I did have a conversation with the folks at Travis Audio. Rather than have them come out, which they said to save some money, I'm taking some pictures of the room and I'll be meeting with them. They think that they can, I kind of told them what we were looking to do here. They said, we can save you quite a bit of money if you just take some photos and come down and meet with us. So that's in the works to get that done. As you recall, I believe it was the last meeting, we had the 2 resolutions for the final plat for Anthem and then for the townhome construction observation. Both of those have been finalized. Chris did deposit the money and he received the plat for Anthem 2, so he was able to get that recorded. And when he's ready to start the work on the water and the sewer, or the public water and sewer for the Anthem townhomes, Forrest knows that they're good to go. So just want to give you an update on those 2 things.
Mr. Murphy?
Nothing further.
Mr. Rigler?
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Etcher?
Nothing.
Ms. Roberts?
I just had a question. When was the CIP? When were we gonna, thought that was tonight, but
Yeah, so goal setting, I believe what we discussed was in 2 weeks from tonight, so it was 4 weeks from last week. Is the intent to still do that after the meeting?
The intent would be to probably move that to your first meeting in October. Mr. Rigler will be gone at the next meeting and I will be gone at the next meeting as well at the ICMA conference.
Okay.
So I'd like to move that to the first meeting in October, if that's okay.
Does that work for everybody? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy, I skipped you. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Mulder. Mr. Mulder.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thanks, sir. That concludes our regular business for this evening. We do have 2 work session items. Item A is the North Prairie View Development and Site Plan for Landing Closeout.
Yeah, this is just with Chris. I've been working with Chris, trying to close out the landing site and the North Prairie development over there. I think we've got everything in order. We're just trying to get a bond finalized out for the maintenance bond for a 4-year maintenance bond on the public sanitary sewer out front. And a little bit of stuff we needed for them, their engineer on the kind of the pond and some elevations and that nature. I think everything's been done. I think they're working on that. I think we'll see. And a little bit of stuff needed for their engineer on kind of the pond and that nature. I think everything's been done. I think they're working on that. I think we'll see So I know Chris has been working with Mike Schonhorst on that, trying to get that all in order. So once we get that paperwork, we'll get that filed up at City Hall, and hopefully by next council meeting, we'll be able to close that. Chris has been working with Mike Schonhorst on that, trying to get that all in order. So once we get that paperwork.
Okay, great. Anything else on that item then? Any questions, discussion from council on that item? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 7B this evening is regarding the South Main Avenue. Chris, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that back up after the
Just to clarify, that's 123, 123?
Yeah.
Okay, and your actual cost you gave us the other day, you thought was?
This is about 400,000.
About 400, okay, thank you. All right, council, any questions or additional information that you need in order to bring this item back for a vote?
Dave, what's your recommendation?
I know the number that Chris has shared, the 123 or 126, I think, that was an email going back with, and this was kind of what I thought was after the fact when Chris said that, the city was going to pay for part of this. And that's when I kind of reached out to Forrest and I said, if we were to pay for this, what would that, look like? So that's what that was. That wasn't me saying that we should do that. It was just trying to get an idea if the council was going to do that, that would be the number that I would look at. Like I said, I came in April of 23. I don't know what your guys' conversations were. All I had heard when I came in was that you guys did a $3.5 million TIF for the utilities and the streets. And when I got here, I was asked to look to increase that agreement to 5 million. So I worked with Chris and with Chip Schultz. Chris gave us the calculations of what, that lot build out would be. Chip ran through that. We looked at doing a 50-50. Chris came back, asked for the 70. I think he wanted 75. And I think at the time we settled on a 70-30, which shortened the payback on the TIF for Chris. There was an additional then $1 million added to that for a project that we thought was going to take place. I don't believe that the person that we were originally dealing with is going to be moving forward. At least that's what I've heard. Now, that's not directly from him to me, but I've talked to enough people that say that's probably not going to happen. If that doesn't happen, Chris is eligible for that entire $6 million. There was nothing in that agreement that stated if that project didn't take place, that that million came back to the city. He has an agreement for $6 million.
Put that 1 million right point, put that to bed, that's gonna happen. We're not-
Must be a different, yes, you must have somebody else doing it.
I'm trusting what this guy said. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
John Garnes, Doc Me, and myself.
Okay.
Okay.
So Rory, my recommendation is that the 5 million should be enough to cover the expenses.
Address that too.
So Rory, my recommendation is that the 5 million should be the expenses.
Appreciate the help, but we are beyond that. That's why I'm here asking. If it was
So the only problem I have with it is, Chris, that we said at the 3.5 million. And I specifically was the one that said, hey, is 3.5 million gonna be enough that you're asking for? And when you said that 3.5 million, and because I said, this is it. And then you came back and then we went to the 5 million. And then and I voted on all three of these, yes. But the 3.5 million, and you know where I sit on the TIF, but this is a big business thing and I was all for it. We went up to the 5 million and we went up to the 6 million to add in, and we had no stipulations. We were just hoping that you had an agreement with that party. And we don't know. So that's where I'm sitting at. The 3.5 million, I specifically asked you, if we can go back on the minutes. I know the minutes are junk right now, but I specifically asked you if that was gonna be it. And you sat here and said, that would be it. And we went to 5 million and now we're up to 6 million. And that was for everything. That was for everything. So,
everything at that time, which has changed, so like 69, the sewer project, the stormwater project.
but you as a developer have to understand that.
We didn't, how could I know the future?
Yeah, I agree with you in a way, but
We
like,
didn't have.
that's a risk you have to take.
We didn't
So,
have a 42-inch storm sewer along 69 ever in the plans until a couple, probably.
I agree with you. I'm sorry, but I'm just telling you how I'm thinking on it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I would throw one thing out that at one time, Chris said that we could do some trading on this. There's still about $68,000 owed for Plat 1 for construction observation. So if you wanted to do the 123, 126, I think it's closer to 126, I think was the number. You know, if we took that $68,000 off to kind of wipe that debt clean, if we can legally do that and make the auditors happy. Amy?
I would think that.
I mean, as long as we write it up properly and have it approved or we document it, you know, because I know Chris had mentioned a couple times about doing some trade-offs. But there's, you know, there's those dollars that are sitting there. If you want to do the deal for the 126 or whatever, and then just write off that 68 and pay them the difference, I can live with that.
Okay, I appreciate that, that option, that comment.
I don't have a ton of comments, except that I do remember everything you're saying, and everybody, a gentleman, this really sticks at me. The gentleman came and said, you're all for development, you're always for the development side. That's not true, but I do think that we do a poor job of keeping things moving. And had we not had all these delays, we wouldn't still be talking about this. So I appreciate you having the timeline. I do remember the numbers, the 3, the 5, the 6. And so I am agreeable to that 58. I did the math right. Is it 58 or 60? 126 and
It would be the 126. I mean, I've got the number, it's like 68 and
Okay.
some change. So
Okay.
is what's owed for plat one for the construction. It's 68 and some change for the construction observation and the general engineering that was done on that. Forrest provided a breakdown. That's what we used when we created the number for plat 2 for the 140,240. It was kind of a breakdown of all that stuff, about 1/3 to 2/3 based on the size of the 2 different plats.
So I'm not opposed to that.
And I'm not opposed, Dave, if you can figure it out with Mr. Gardner, that's fine. But I agree with you that we need to get this thing moving and yeah, get it done.
Mr. Mulder, any comments?
Not much tonight. You know, I rely on previous counsel because I wasn't involved with that during the time of the negotiations and that plat procedure. So would just appreciate all the insight from the folks that were involved.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Murphy, any comments?
I don't really have a lot to input on this because there's nothing to input. I mean, you have no documentation. It's a he said, she said. Sitting here listening to this, it sounds like we've gone around in a lot of circles that everybody said everything. I don't know what to believe. I wasn't here. I could tell you what my personal opinion is. I think the whole thing is hokey that in today's business environment, we don't have documents to show what's decided. And I would say, as long as I'm on the council, I will argue that we have documentation on everything going forward because this is a lot of money. And I feel for you, Chris. That's a lot of money. And it's a hell of a lot of money to be sitting out there with. What do you do about it? And really, I don't have that answer because I don't know that I've got enough information to make an intelligent decision with it.
So what is our solution moving forward? Should we see the documentation of the agreements? Signed agreements, because this should have been a signed agreement.
The agreement is signed. I mean, once council approved it, Chris signed it, Mayor Deaton signed it. It's been recorded. So I can't speak for, you know, some of your agreements prior to that, but I know going forward while I'm here and Barb's here, everything has been documented and signed. I mean, we're working through some old ones to get those cleaned up as well. So.
So I'm a little lost. Where are you at? Where are you with the 120 or are you with?
I'm at the position that if anything, let abstain.
Well, whatever the agreement is going, you know, if we decide that we're gonna pay the 126 less what is owed for one, there'll be, you know, we'll put that in a resolution form that will be approved by council, and that can go in the file with the signed development agreement that's previously been approved by the council that was sitting here when I was hired back in 23. I mean, we have that agreement. It's this, you know, it's the $6 million TIF. It's based on the commercial, the industrial lots. That's where Chris gets paid back. When those are developed, he gets paid.
What's missing is any documentation that is what's missing.
So Chris, are you okay with the 68,000 off of that?
Well, I think we're saying, or just clarify, we're saying a couple different things. Are we saying we agree to the 126, but it'd be a barter for 68 and then the cash?
Yeah, less than 68.
Right.
Yeah, it would be less. So it'd be approximately 58. I mean, I don't remember the
Are
exact,
you okay with that?
I don't remember the exact change, you know, between it's like 68, 5 something and you know, we've got the email with the 126 or whatever. We can figure that out and we can put that into a resolution. And I would propose just to get this done and over with, that we pay you the difference between what's owed on plat one that the city's already paid for the construction observation. And it's just kind of that barter trade and we pay you the difference.
Yeah, that would work.
So let's just, I make a recommendation that, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of feel in the same spot as Greg and John. It all predates me a lot. I do have a friend who runs a construction company in Southeast Iowa. I feel for you in the sense that I don't believe he would ever start a job on property he didn't own. So that to me is really odd that we don't have documentation on how South Main got developed or connected to his development. So if you have a way on you and Barb's end to kind of compromise and make something right, then I would be in favor of doing something that way.
As I look back for the things that I found, like when this original 40 was already in the city limits and there was already kind of a platted right of way, so to speak. So when Jan Rose Farms actually did the annexation for the 80 that came in, I mean, I found that on the Iowa land records. And it shows the 80 that came in. It talked about the 80 acres coming in as the annexation, and there was about 1.83 acres that was going to be road right of way for that 80. But it did show the old plat it was tied to with the development that Huxley Development Corp had done, and it showed that 40, and it showed where Main came, and then where the right of way was, it was referred to as outlot. I mean, it said right of way. I mean, because I think they knew eventually that road was going to go through. So somebody said that this is going to have to be the right of way. It was referred to as outlot C, outlot A on a piece. But when you look on Beacon, nobody owns it. I mean, there's nobody that shows that they own that road.
At one point, and I think it was last meeting, was it the Huxley Development Corps? Was there discussion that they were responsible or that they had some obligation to connect the road?
I talked
further south?
to someone from Huxley Development Corp. and he indicated that when they did a RISE grant for, I don't know if that was part of Snyder to go up. And that's why that intersection was done. And they said they didn't go any further because they didn't own that road. They didn't own that piece of land to be developed. They only developed what they had access to.
Yeah, I didn't buy that ground. I still own
It just shows, yeah, it shows that nobody owns it. It just shows that it was a planned right of way because they figured South Main would eventually extend, but the only thing.
too, like we have a full set of drawings with all second utilities that Forrest, Jeff, I went through. So they were approved drawings for it. It wasn't like I just went out there and started taking the whole.
No, just to clarify, I meant knowing the
Pricing
cost of
for
it.
The cost of it, it was a. We were at different times.
Yeah, to clarify, Chris, I guess my perspective on the compromise of the barter amount and cash payout was the fact that I don't know anyone in construction who will put that sort of money into something if they don't own the land. That's the part that I was hoping that we would take something up and figure out. And I know that we don't have all the documentation. I just feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions on it. That's the part that I was hoping that we would figure out. I know that we don't have all the documentation. I just feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions on it.
So I wouldn't dig any further on that.
I mean, Chris kind of did that when he did Iron Bridge. I mean, he paved that road going down to where he put his development in and built all the, they sold all the lots for the big homes that are out there. So, yeah, it happens all the time. It happened in Steve Quick's development. It happened in some other developments here in the community.
So can I make a recommendation that you and Barb that make the resolution with the agreement with Chris?
I think you would give direction.
Good direction, I'm sorry.
I think you would ask, if council was agreeable. If council was agreeable, you're asking us to prepare a resolution to be presented at the next meeting that would
Make this agreement.
make this agreement basically showing that out of the 126, whatever, we'll find that amount in the email versus what is currently owed on Plat One or less that, then the city would pay the difference
For
of
Main
that
Street.
to Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've got at least two council members that are seeking that direction, David. So if you could prepare that and bring it back to the next council meeting.
We'll have that prepared. I just will not be here at the next meeting. I just want to remind you, I'll be gone, but we'll have it for you.
No, that's fine. I think it's been well discussed at this point. So should be able to move on. Thanks, Chris. All right, that concludes our meeting this evening, and I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Roberts. Second by Mr. Etcher. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
All right.
All those opposed, same sign.